It's been a while. Okay, so just tell me. I just want to say, I have my notebook with me, and I'm just gonna be taking notes over our session,
Oh,
just so I can write everything down and remember. Remember, this is only between me and my supervisor that they'll get this. No one else will see this outside of us. And I just using this to keep track of everything that you say, just so I can remember and just help facilitate our session. I just want to let you know, you okay with that?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. All right. So how have you been? What has life been like since we last spoke? Do you need a recap or
It's been interesting.
okay?
Um, I've had a lot of things
Okay.
moving pieces, I guess you would say.
Mm.
Um, I got into a car accident and my parents, long story short, me and my
Mhm.
parents are communicating.
Okay.
So
Do you
yeah.
want to go into more detail about why you guys aren't communicating? Because I remember last time you talked about you found out that you were adopted from your aunt that came and found you at a carnival. She
Yeah.
came and found you and told you, and that was shocking and upsetting. I remember you weren't ready to talk about it with your parents, which
Right.
totally makes sense. That was a lot to take on. That was a lot emotionally, probably physically too. So, did you talk with your parents? Is that where you want to
So
tell me?
yeah, so when I had the car accident, of course, I was okay. The
Okay,
car was totaled, but of course that was like a scary thing.
right.
My parents are my emergency contact
Okay,
persons. Um, so we were kind of that what happened previously wasn't at the forefront, I guess.
hmm,
So it wasn't anything that I really thought about.
okay.
Um,
About your parents being your emergency contact?
know about that I was avoiding them. Like I
Okay,
was initially
right, right,
avoiding them,
right.
but the car accident, they're at the hospital. Um, what really kind of reminded me of it is when they were asking a lot of the medical questions.
Mm,
And so when they started asking the medical questions,
triggered you.
yeah. So I was a crying mess.
Mm-hmm.
It
It's
was
okay.
really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, it was like the scene was set for the dramatics
Yeah.
and yeah, everything had came out.
Wow. Okay. So, do you feel like the car accident almost forced you to, because you get into this car accident,
Mhm,
then they're your emergency contact, but you hadn't been in contact and you've been
mhm.
avoiding this whole time, and now you're in this situation. It's like, now I have to talk with my parents. Do you feel like that accident jolted you in there? Were you ready?
Um, no, I don't think I was ready.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think I was ready.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to
Um,
explain that a little more?
I feel like it shortened the amount of time because I
Right.
think I was just avoiding it. I didn't want to
Right.
deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to talk to them about
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so I, of course, they're giving me medication, so that it was like I was out of
Out of
control.
control. Out of
So
control.
I didn't have control of how it came out, what came out. It was just very unfiltered. Um, and it kind of, I'm a very private person because I hadn't even told my friends about the
Mm-hmm.
news.
Yeah.
And so it was just very awkward knowing that all of the medical personnel was around and like all of this
Yeah.
stuff transpired.
Yeah. Tell me, did you feel exposed, sort of very
Very,
vulnerable?
very, it felt, I just felt uncovered.
Right.
I felt like I wasn't ready and I was gonna do it on my own timing.
Mm,
And it just feels like the sheet was just
ripped.
ripped away. Because
Right.
that wasn't, I mean, when I first saw them, I was super grateful that they were there.
Mhm.
Um, but it was like I was scared. I was, so I was
Right.
it was just like so many emotions
Emotions. Right.
that I just didn't have
Mhm.
context for.
Right.
So it was like, no, my physical body wasn't harmed.
But inside,
Yeah,
mentally, spiritually, you were
it
harmed.
felt like inside. It felt like a car wreck
Yeah,
inside.
inside. I want to pause right there. And I want to just, encourage you and just tell you how proud I am of you, of just being able to be in that moment. Whether you were crying, whatever it looked like, I'm proud of you for sticking through that moment. Because that was a lot, just all in you, all at once. But I want to go back, if you want to, kind of when you said out of control. You mentioned you were scared, exposed. What other emotions came up for you? Just in the feeling as you felt exposed, what other emotions were coming up for you?
Embarrassment, as they were asking me different questions. I felt like a lot of the questions I didn't know the answer to because they're asking me my
Right.
medical history. So it was embarrassing. Like I'm bawling.
Right.
And so my mom had to, step up and kind of, answer questions. So it was just it was really, yeah,
Yeah.
having to live it out in front of the world
Yeah. Right.
where I felt like that was something
Right.
private.
Hmm.
So
No, that makes complete sense. I want to ask you, how did you initially feel the very first time that you saw your parents?
I was happy. I was
Happy.
relieved. Yes. Um, you know, I've never been in a car wreck before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, eh, they ran the red light. I guess they were on their phone or something. They weren't intoxicated, but they ran a red, so it was just, um, it was scary. It
Very.
was really scary. It was
Oh.
loud. It was,
Mm.
yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I'm so glad you're okay. You look great. And I know that this has been a heavy toll on you. So I just want to say I'm proud of you for coming to therapy and wanting to just work through these emotions. Um, so I just want to say I'm proud of you and just great job for just being here because I know that's a lot emotionally and physically. I want to go back to the embarrassment. Do you see that you said you felt like it was out of your control and that was scary and that was embarrassing? How did it feel having your mother step in to answer those questions? And if I need to rephrase this question, let me know. Knowing that she was your adopted mother, were you thinking, no, it's my, and she is your mom. There is no, just to make that clear. Um, Knowing that she's like stepping in and asking those questions versus maybe your other mom.
um, I, I felt like for her, in my head, I was thinking that the way that they treated me in the childhood that I had was out of guilt because they knew I was adopted. But in that moment, she was being a mother. Like she
Right.
saw me
Mhm.
distressed
Yeah.
and covered me, like
Yeah.
to the best that she could.
Hmm.
She didn't say, oh, well, she just found out that she was adopted.
Hmm.
She answered the questions like we've been answering the
Right.
questions. So, but that was my biggest thing is like, what is my medical history? What
Mhm.
is my, like I was thinking about all of those things, but she just, man, I don't know. It made me feel bad for ignoring them.
Mhm.
Um, to, you know, I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot more to the story.
Of the adoption and
Yeah.
of, right.
It just, because at first it felt like it was something done to me,
Mm-hmm.
but seeing how she jumped in there
Mm-hmm.
and how they were just present,
Right.
it wasn't like they were like trying to overcompensate,
Right.
like,
Mhm.
so it was just like the emotions. I was mad at myself. I was,
Mhm. A
it was
lot.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Um,
don't think I've ever cried. I'm not a crier.
mhm.
So that was definitely a out of body like experience. Like
Yeah.
I'm not an emotional person. So
Mhm.
it was just,
Yeah. I want to just say that despite the way that you described your childhood as your parents, being there for you and loving you, I want to just say that despite everything that's gone on, I don't think your parents, I don't think that they were acting. Does that make sense? And that, again, if I'm misinterpreting that or if
no, no, no.
they, right,
It felt real. Like
right,
it didn't
right,
feel
hmm
like a play or like,
right. And that would make sense that when your mom came to the hospital, it's very natural for her to
yeah,
take care of you and to love you. And I also want to say the emotions that you felt, being mad at yourself, being mad at them, is completely normal. And the things, just processing every single thing that you've been through. You ignoring your parents, I can see it as more you needing just some space.
yeah,
And I think that's okay. Sometimes a little space just to give us some time to reflect. And I think it's what we do
yeah,
in that space, or in the separation, in the time span of the separation, that I think
yeah.
can benefit us or harm us. So I want to ask you, during that space, or the time like in between, like what did you do during that time
When I was not
when you were
speaking,
not speaking to them? Yes. Mhm.
bury myself in my work because it's a very busy time for me right now. Several projects going on. I don't work a job where I can just say,
Mhm.
hey, pick up sub,
Mhm.
for me. Like I
Yeah.
have to be present. So I just, focused on getting the job done.
Okay.
Um, but that just like
Hmm.
manifested itself, I guess, in
Right.
anger and agitation. And, because I didn't share with my colleagues or anybody what was going on.
Did you feel like you couldn't share with anyone, or what did you do?
I just feel like, you know, I didn't want to give them something to talk about. Like, I don't want to be the center of attention, especially not for something like that.
Mhm.
Like, I'm very private.
Mhm.
I try to keep it separate,
Yeah.
business and,
Personal. Hmm.
yeah. So, um, yeah, it's just,
Okay.
so it was just like, I guess I felt like a pressure cooker or
Right.
something.
Just like building up all that emotion just over the course of time, and then your car accident,
Yeah,
and then
it
it
was
was
just
just
like
like
one
boom
thing
after
after another.
another, and it exploded all
Yeah.
at the same time.
Like, and it is so funny because I thought all the while I was angry, but like when I was in control, it manifested as anger and agitation.
Yeah.
But when I was placed in a situation out of my control, it manifested in sorrow and tears and like I just could not
Mhm.
pull myself together. And I'm pretty sure that the people were like, yeah, her car was totaled. She don't have no scratches. Like, what is going on with
Yeah.
her? Um, like, yeah,
I
like
know.
they had to give me medicine to calm
Mhm.
me down
Yeah.
because I was just so,
Yeah. I mean, you had a lot going on. I don't know, don't correct me wrong, if this is how you're feeling, but are you feeling bad about your outbursts of you crying
I
so much?
think the public,
The
like
public,
how
you feel like
they
the
got to
public,
see
so the public perception,
it. Yes.
kind of what they were thinking, how they felt
Yes.
about you.
I think it presented me as being dramatic because again, I like when I tell you, like I feel, I don't want to say crazy, but I didn't have any like the car, what the
Mhm,
car looked like
mhm,
and what I look like, and I was like a blubbering mess
mhm.
where they had to medicate me to sedate, like to calm me down, and then my vocalness. So when they gave me those, there was a lot of drugs.
Okay.
And so, and then it's like everything that I was thinking just came out.
Came out.
So
Mhm.
it was
Yeah,
like a truth serum.
true serum. So
Oh,
that's a lot. That's a
it was
lot.
very,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm never
Right.
going back to the hospital.
You know, so sort of what I'm hearing you say is, not sort of what I'm hearing you say is because of just everything that's boiled down from the beginning to the end, you felt like in this accident was it? It was at the top. You felt just overwhelmed. You felt exposed.
Mhm.
Felt very vulnerable, and it seems like because you felt all those things, you're now thinking in the back of your mind, oh my gosh, like what are these people thinking about me now? Is that sort of how you're feeling? You're sort of where you're at?
Most definitely, especially being somewhat um dealing with a lot of high level clients and
Right.
things like that. I have a reputation to
Right.
uphold.
Right.
And social media is like people are waiting for
Right.
something to
Mhm.
exploit somebody over or to dig and
Mhm.
you know, like I said, my family has I know we're not perfect, but it just seems like this is like something
Mhm.
um like it just blew up like
Yeah.
a perfect family. And it's like, oh, this big secret. And it just feels like um yeah,
I have
just
a question for you. Are there other areas in your life that you feel like public opinion, other people's opinion affects the way like you move and think about yourself?
yes.
What are some
Yes.
of those areas?
Um, I know growing up, like, people would always call me spoiled. Um, and so in a way I felt like I always had to work hard to prove that,
Mm-hmm.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
I have to work for stuff too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, my parents do a lot for me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, oh, she's spoiled. She doesn't have to, I just felt like every like my struggle wasn't respected by people. Like, oh, she doesn't have any issues, or she doesn't have any problems. Both her parents, they're rich, they got this, and she
Mm-hmm.
gets to go to a private school. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just like they just judge me without even knowing
Right.
anything about me. So, um, I just this is like personal, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Yeah.
those people be like, oh, that's like it's
Mhm.
just
So growing up, did you feel sort of misunderstood?
most
Yeah.
definitely. And I just wasn't sure if people were there for the right reasons. And so when this all came out, I think that's why I was kind of, I felt like my parents always had my back. But when this happened, it made me wonder, are they not here for the right reasons?
Right.
Um,
Do you feel a sense of, I know we kind of talked about it, but betrayal by your parents and
yeah,
trusting them and
most definitely.
yeah.
Um, it definitely because it made me wonder if anybody else knew too, like from our family,
Right. So
that
it's
knew.
you questioning who you can trust.
Yes, most definitely, because it's like the people like it's weird to know that everybody else knows something and you're kind of like the last to find out, right? Especially at my grown age,
Right.
like I feel like some point we could have talked about that. Like, what if I had started having children, or like I don't know anything about
Yeah.
the medical part, so
No, that
yeah.
makes total sense in that is a lot. That is a lot. So I just want to say really quick, I want you to take a deep breath in. And when you let go of just close your eyes and just relax your body. I just want to sit in this for a second. Just take a second. And then when you're ready, you can just look up at me, and that's how I know that you're ready to just continue. How are you feeling right now after that?
A little weird, a little awkward.
Do you feel a little awkward because, or tell me what's making it awkward for you?
Talking about it to someone who is not in a situation, because I kind of feel like I don't want you to get the wrong impression of my parents. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because,
Are you feeling exposed again, just a little bit?
yeah.
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 Well, I want to encourage you to know that this space, I'm not casting any judgment on you, your parents, or anyone in this situation. I am here to facilitate your growth and to help you walk through this experience in the most healthy way possible. I want you to know that anything that you say to me, remember we talked about it, I'm here for you. I'm here to help guide you and, coach you. And I'm here to be a safe space for you to open up about these things. I want to encourage you, I'm not getting a bad impression of your parents. This is a situation that me and you are working through together. And I want to let you know that you can be vulnerable here. And that is what our relationship is. We're a collaborative relationship working through the situation together. So I want to encourage you with that. Okay. Don't be afraid to tell me how you really feel about the situation because I'm here to support you through the situation. Okay.
I do have a question. I guess it kind of makes me wonder if maybe do you think that me and my parents maybe need to like see about like a group type? Like, I mean, because I mean, I don't really know how to start the conversation, and I don't really know, like, I know I can't be in control of the conversation, but I don't want to be disrespectful with my parents. Like, I don't know how to have
Right. No,
the
that makes
conversation.
complete sense. And that is a great question. And I think if group therapy is something that you want to explore, I think I would recommend it. There is I don't have that certification, but if you want to look into it, there is a marriage family therapist, and they specialize in marriages and families. So if you do so, I can do some research for you, and send you a list of people, if you'd like to start going to them as a family.
But I would like,
Okay.
I think I still need to come by
talk.
myself too.
You are
Like, I don't
completely
know
right.
if can you do
No.
both? Like, I don't know, like,
So repeat your question. Are you saying
so because I don't want to just jump and talk with my parents and like abandon, like, I don't know, this like debriefing for myself.
Mhm. Oh, so so you're saying you're not sure if you can see like two therapists at the same time? Okay, I want to assure you that you can. Just
Oh,
because you decide, and you know what? And I will write this question down
okay.
also, and I can talk to my supervisor about it. Not to tell you if you can or cannot, but just to give you more clarity on the situation because this therapy is separate. Does that make sense? So we're doing
Yes.
individual therapy
Right.
and group therapy would be different. So
Right.
if I'm correct, and again, I will do
Okay.
some research for
I
you.
really appreciate
Yeah, of
that.
course. You would be seeing a therapist with them, and then you would just be coming to me on your own. So they would have, just like now, how they don't really have much involvement in our conversation in our
Right.
meetings, it would essentially be the same
I
thing.
know it's kind of weird, but it's like, I don't want my parents to hear, like type, like
No,
I
it
just,
is
like I
not
feel
weird
like,
at all.
okay.
No, I want to validate you that it is not weird. This session is for you and your healing. This is what we're here for, is for that. Just you alone. And figuring out how to navigate your relationships outside of here together. This is a two-way relationship.
Okay.
I just want to encourage
Thank
you with
you.
that. Yeah. Do you feel like you want to talk to your parents about the situation? Or excuse me, how do you feel about talking to your parents just a little bit before going into therapy? Is that something you'd like to do before
I
then?
can definitely just talk to them
Mm-hmm.
and see if it's something that they'll be open to.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they really would. It's
Mm-hmm.
more so me having to make the decision
Right. Right.
to participate. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're so supportive. They're, I feel like they definitely would be open
Yeah.
to helping me with this. Like
Yeah.
and it's just so, it's just because I know this affected them too, to have to hold that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like now they're like, trying to still take care of me and make sure
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm proud of you because from our very first session till now,
Mhm.
in which, and I'm not, your feelings were definitely understandable. You being angry, upset, betrayed, scared, feeling like you didn't know who you were. That is completely normal, like feelings to have when you experience something like that, and especially when you felt you didn't want to talk to your parents at all,
Yeah.
and to hear you now say, "Wow, like
Oh, yeah,
maybe."
that is a big
I
leap.
mean, it is a big leap. So I think you should be proud of the growth that you've made because it is a tough situation. This is affecting every area of your life. So I think you should
Mhm.
continue to show yourself some grace. And I'm even proud of you for kind of showing your parents some grace too. If you hear in your last statement, you had said, I imagine this was hard for my parents to keep as well from me
I never thought
and
about it.
still have to take care of me too. The things that they might have been going through emotionally together. So I'm proud of you for even whether you knew it or not.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't,
you
I
know,
didn't realize.
thinking about the grace that you've started to extend to them too. So wow, you should be proud of yourself for the growth. And I just want you to also continue to show yourself some grace, especially
Okay.
when we're extending all the way back to the car accident. Since that was out of your control,
Mhm.
I know feeling exposed, feeling vulnerable, involuntarily,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, can definitely be a lot to handle.
Mhm.
But if you are feeling, I have a question for you. How have you, when you've been feeling overwhelmed or when your anger has started to, build up, have you taken any like preventative measures to like recognize those emotions?
I think the car accident really did it for me.
Okay.
Like, I was rushing, I was in a rush. I
Mhm.
was, the other person was rushing. Um, no, it wasn't something that I could
Mm.
control, but you know, I don't know. It was like it was something that I could have died mad.
Wow.
And
Can we, I think pause right there just for a second. Pause right there for a second. So what I'm getting from that is, and I'm trying to say with sensitivity, that you almost feel like the car accident was a sort of reality check for your emotions and
Yeah,
how to handle them.
most definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the car was mangled.
Mhm.
Like, there's no way I should have walked away.
Mhm.
Like, my parents have instilled faith in me
Mhm.
and to see faith at work. Like,
Yeah.
the way I was behaving, and to know that I could have um, been upset and not talking to my parents, and instead of really trying to figure it out
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
find out,
Yeah.
because I didn't even know what had happened. I never
Right.
asked them. It was just, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? And I just,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it was definitely a reality check.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe I do need to go ahead and do some investigating, and um, yeah. And I mean, my parents are modeling. They're modeling what they preach. This was the one thing that was kind of out of alignment, but now I'm, just seeing how they're behaving and the way they're handling me. They haven't even really brought up the scene
At
at
all.
hospital.
Mhm.
So it's like they are just being so patient with
Yeah.
me.
How is that making you feel? So they found out, you know,
Because
that you
I
knew.
was asking them
Right.
questions. I was like, you're
Right.
not even my
Paint that
lawyer
picture for me.
here. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, it was very expressive. I was like, you're not my mom, why are you
Mhm.
here? And she just, and my mom never really responded to me in that
Mhm.
moment because I was heavily sedated. And she just kept rubbing my head and was like, it's
Mhm.
okay. And I'm just telling all of our business.
Mhm.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah. And so my mom was there, my dad was there. They just, like, for somebody to stand in the gap for you while you're having these volatile roller coaster
Yeah.
of emotions,
Yeah.
like, that was,
How did that make you feel to be in that way as you were going through that? How did it make you feel, I guess, seen by your parents?
it made me want to know more.
Mhm. Wow.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I said it. So you were saying that made you feel seen by your parents, just
mm,
someone standing in the gap for you,
yeah,
especially in a time when you are vulnerable, exposed, as you said. I think that's really encouraging.
yeah. It made
Um,
me want to know this version of
right.
them, like, so I think I'm ready to kind of move in that direction
Yeah.
and sit down with them.
I just want to say I'm glad that you're okay,
Yes,
for one.
yes,
Your life is more valuable than a car, for sure. Um, I'm glad that now, despite the circumstances that happened, that it is open in the air. I'm sorry that you had to feel exposed and vulnerable that way, but I'm also glad and for you
yeah,
that this was sort of a reality check,
yes,
and I'm glad that you are now able and curious to want to know the story behind what happened and just you as a person. Now, this is a chance for you to have a new identity get your identity back. Because I know that's what we talked about last
yes,
time was now you feel like you don't even know who you are. And so I'm encouraged and I hope that you're encouraged
yes,
to get a piece of that identity back.
yes, yeah. Definitely feel a lot
Yeah.
more, feel like I have a direction. So
Yeah, that is great. That is great. So before we end, I just want to take one more deep breath in, and when you get out,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
feels good.
So the second time around,
Yeah.
did it feel a little better?
Yes.
Good, good. Do you have any questions or anything for me right now?
No.
Okay, wow. So I just want to encourage you to keep, it's gonna be I want to encourage you to continue to give grace
Okay.
to you, to your parents, to you especially when this is gonna be a roller coaster of emotions from now on,
Yes.
continuously. To identify when things are building up and to separate yourself, whatever that looks like. You have to go to a quiet room, put some headphones on, count to 10 even. I want to encourage you
Okay.
to continue to do that.
Okay.
Maybe even take a few deep breaths before you talk with your parents to just release some emotion.
Okay.
I want you to be able to have the confidence to tell your parents how you feel. I think that's okay. To be like, you know what? It's our tone and how we say. I want you to be able to say, you know what, this is how I'm feeling, right? But also be receptive to what your parents have to say too. And so I'm excited to hear how things go. When you talk to them, when you're ready, even if you don't talk to them until the next time you meet, it's okay.
Okay.
Don't put
Okay.
pressure on yourself to do
I
it.
can do that.
Yeah. So I'm proud of you, and we're gonna end our session today. And so I will see you next